Okay, so this is over 6.04 and it's vectors. So in order to do vector multiplication, which you're doing A times B, it's component wise. Well, what does that mean? So basically, I've got the first component of A is 2, and I'm going to multiply it by the first component of B, which is also 2. Then you add, and we move to the second component. So 4 times the second component of B, which is 5. Well, that's 4. And 4 times 5 is 20, so when I add those together, I get my answer of 24. This will be the same way on number 2, except they've given you variables I and J. So that just means it's the same type of setup. That just puts it in components. So I do the 9 times the 4, just like I did in problem 1. And I add that to the 5 times the 3. The variables in this case, since I'm doing vector multiplication, just tell me which numbers or coefficients to multiply together. So I've got 9 times 4, which gives me 36. 5 times 3, which gives me my 15. So when I add those together, I get an answer of 51. I'm going to skip number 3 for a second and come down to number 5, because number 5, again, is the same vector multiplication. Now, what they did to you was very tricky here because they gave you an extra vector. I don't need R, so that's just extra information. So honestly, I could probably mark it out and it would be okay. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I just have 3 to look at this time. So I do 2 times negative 2 with V times W. So there's 2, negative 2, multiply, plus next position, negative 8 times 6, and then I've got the last position, which is going to be plus a negative 8 times a negative 5. So then you simply put that in the calculator and you should get your answer for that vector multiplication. I'll let you do that, and then we will go and look at number 3. Okay, for problem 3, they're asking you to find an angle. So this is a little bit different than what we were working on with the other 3 problems. There's several steps involved. So I've already kind of shortcutted it, and I'll show you what I've done. So we've got our U and our V. Okay, so there's our vectors. And then it wanted me, or I needed to find U times V. So I just did the exact same thing I did on the other problems. I did 6 times 7, got 42, plus negative 1 times negative 4 and got 4. So my vector multiplication, dot multiplication here is 46. Now, in order to find the angle, I also need the magnitude of U and the magnitude of V. So in order to do that, you just take each part of that vector and you square it, and you add those and take the square root. That gave me square root of 37. Same thing for magnitude of V. So the magnitude of V is going to equal the square root, and I took each piece. 7 and negative 4. I squared both of them, added them, square rooted, and you get square root of 65. So in order to find the angle, we have this identity. Cosine of theta is going to equal the dot multiplication divided by the magnitude of U times the magnitude of V. Okay, so there's my identity. So what I did was I come down here and I just substituted in. So my dot multiplication, U times V, I got 46. It's in the top. Then I do square root of 37 times the square root of 56. Those are my 2 magnitudes. In the calculator, I need to get the angle alone, which means I need to move the cosine over. So that's what I do. Cosine negative 1 of my 46 divided by the square root of 37 times square root of 65. And when I put that in the calculator, that gives me an answer of 20.28, and that is what my angle measure is.